Praise God from whom all blessings flow. Praise Him, all creatures here below. Praise Him above you, heavenly host. Praise Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Praise God from whom all blessings flow. Praise Him, all creatures here below. Praise Him above you, heavenly hosts. Praise Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Praise God from whom all blessings flow. Praise Him, all creatures here below. Praise Him above you, heavenly hosts. Praise Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Praise Father, Son, and Holy Ghost.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas. Kayang maging, ang puso sa ako'y buhay. Bakit ay magiging kasama magiging ikasusigil sa nakasigil sa sayayan sa nanakawalan nanakawalan awit sa pagkawan sa nakawawat ko'y nakarating
Hello, future HR professional. Welcome to our very first webinar.
Today, we are going to have an interesting discussion about this very timely topic on how to cope up with the new normal setup in the middle of pandemic for us students.
By the way, guys, I'm John Eldrin Rojas, the Vice President for Internal Affairs of HR SAP National from Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Maynila.
And I am Dominic Cedilla Canales, Secretary of HRSAP National from Universidad de Manila. We are your masters of ceremonies for today's event.
The webinar today is entitled HR Outlook, Adapting and Overcoming the Challenges of Online Learning. And we have participants from different schools or universities such as Batangas State University Lipa Campus,
Bangklad University,
Catanduan State University,
Cavite State University Carmona Campus,
Cavite State University Main Campus,
Cavite State University Silang Campus,
Central Luzon State University,
Hillario Amang Rodriguez Institute of Science and Technology, Manila,
Governor Alfonso D. Tan College,
Leon Ginto Memorial College Incorporated,
Polytechnic University of the Philippines, Quezon City,
Rizal Technological University,
San Sebastian College, Correcolitos de Cavite.
Universidad de Manila.
International of Hotel and Restaurant Management,
Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Maynila.
and University of Perpetual Help Calamba Campus.
Before we formally start our webinar, partner, please watch this video of HRSAP National and its past activities.
Can ask questions to our speaker, and you may type in your questions in the comment box below and we will read it later.
To formally start our webinar, may we call on the HRSAP President, Ms. Celsime Evcas, for our opening remarks.
Good afternoon, everyone, most especially to our HRSAP members. Before we start this webinar entitled HR Outlook, Adapting and Overcoming Challenges of Online Learning, I would like to thank everyone who are here with us, watching and listening to our first webinar. Thank you very much po. Sana may matutunan kayo ngayong araw at sana may makuha kayong maaaring makatulong sa inyo sa pagharap ng new normal setup na meron tayo ngayon. To our esteemed resource person for today's event, Dr. Paul Hillario of Cavite State University. Sir, maraming salamat po sa pag-accept lagi ng kaalaman. Looking forward po kami ngayon sa mga sasabihin niyo po. The officers of
Thank you to our beautiful President, Ms. Celsime May Evcas, for insightful opening remarks. Now, we will proceed to our main event. So, our resource speaker for today is a licensed psychologist, psychometrician, and a registered guidance counselor. He took up his bachelor and master's degree in psychology at University of the Philippines, Diliman, and accomplished his doctorate degree with highest distinction in counseling psychology at De La Salle University, Dasmariñas.
Wow.
He has 6 research publications and doing research presentations to date. He has been a research speaker in many universities for the past years. Currently, he is a designated college counselor psychologist and assistant prof at Cavite State University, as well as the guest lecturer in the College of Education Graduate School at De La Salle University, Dasmariñas, Cavite. So now, let us all welcome Dr. Paulito V. Hilario, and let's give him a round of applause.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Anne. Thank you, Elvin. Uh, I hope my audio is clear. So, let me know na lang. But I am very honored to be a resource person at the Human Resource Students Association of the Philippines. I'm very honored that you have invited me to share a few things about dealing with the new normal, which all of us have definitely been encountering for the last several months. No? So inabot na tayo ng December and we are all in this together. And I think part of the challenge that we are all facing, dealing with this new normal, is that we're all, particularly all of us in the academe, that we are dealing with the issue of online learning. And it's truly a challenge. Okay? Such that the association has considered this to be the topic for this afternoon. So there are a few things that we would more or less try to cover for this afternoon. No? So we need to understand bakit nga ba very challenging ang online learning. We do hear this a lot being commented na nasa bahay na nga lang kayo mag-aaral na lang, ang dami nyo pang reklamo, ang dami nyo pang drama. Yan. So part of what we will try to understand and probably explain bakit nga ba? Why do we even hear clamor of for academic freeze? Why do we even have institutions implementing care policy or flexible policies? We would want to understand really the challenges that is part of what we are dealing with in learning in this new normal. And we would try to more or less cover for this afternoon some of the possible ways by which we could handle and thrive. Okay? Kasi sinasabi nila na even if we are in this condition of crisis or having this difficulty, is it really possible for people to perform well or talaga bang imposible? So we will try to understand given the situation and given the limitations that we have. So let's begin. No? So we all know that for the last 9 or almost 10 months that we are in quarantine, part of the reason why we are at home is, of course, to lessen our exposure and risk to the virus. And we know, and we are not alone in this, that we have been monitoring the progress or the lack of progress. But we do know that this is a serious thing. Okay? It's more than a flu, it's more than a cold. And definitely, there are people who lose their lives because of that exposure. Kaya nga, isa sa mga frustrating part is that we're all waiting for the time when we can all go out, we can meet our friends, and and really go back dun sa dati nating kinagawian. No? Part of the reason also why we are at home is of course there are conditions that are brought about by recent, for instance, yung recent typhoons. That's the reason also why we have postponed the schedule of this webinar a few weeks ago. We do know that that added to the challenge, okay, and that really uh, and that's really what most of us, including the teachers, kasi iniisip natin baka students lang kami rin pong mga guro, okay, are also dealing with the same thing. Okay, that all of us now that we are at home, we are made to convert our place of rest, our place of refuge into now a place of work. So it's not unusual that a lot of your setup may be similar to the pictures of converted study places or workplace places. And that also uh, is accompanied by yung challenge of learning technology. Normal na sa atin yung challenge na the connection is not good enough, na napuputol or cut off. or it's not even fast enough for us to have a good conversation, lalo na yung mga asynchronous tsaka synchronous classes. So this is really difficult for both sides. No? And part of that uh, pressure is compounded by the fact that we still believe that we have to perform. We still believe that we need to do better. Kasi gano'n na nga rin yung, kahit maraming nagpapaalala sa atin na these are different times and there are, most of my students, in fact, even my co-teachers, they do experience na parang feeling mo wala kang ginagawa kasi nasa bahay ka. Okay? So a lot of those things are definitely affecting our mental health. Okay? And that affects our mental health in the sense that most of us right now, given that we are studying and working at home, the boundaries are blurred and the roles are blurred. So, hindi malayo na most of us are at home doing things na pambahay, yung mga gawaing bahay, yung mga concerns sa bahay. At the same time, lalo na yung mga may kapatid, okay, sometimes you're also playing the role of parents to your younger siblings kasi kailangan mo silang tulungan sa mga kanilang modules. Kailangan mo rin tulungan sa pag-ayos sa bahay. Kasi sometimes even our family members are are unaware, okay, na iba yung sitwasyon na ikaw ay estudyante rin na nag-aaral and you have classes and you have requirements. Diba? Ganun din si teacher na magulang, ganun din siya. So, nagkakaroon tayo ng blurring ng lines and that overloads our cognitive abilities, which is really crucial to learning. Most of us are encountering an overload in terms of roles, in terms of expectations, in terms of priorities. So much of the symptoms that we observe, okay, in terms of that we encounter every day, is part of that interaction. Okay, the environment right now at home na you are far from your friends, far from yung ang sabi ng mga students ko, sir, iba pa rin talaga yung pag pumapasok ka, meron kang nahahampas, na nabibiro, or na nakokopyahan, or may natatanungan. It's different because a lot of us, yung social interaction is a form of coping and it's a form of support. And right now, that kind of environment is limited to virtual communication. At the same time, the danger of getting the virus is still very high. If you notice, hindi pa rin talaga safe to be out within public because hindi mo alam kung sino yung meron at sino yung wala. Okay? So, it's really risky. Okay? And for some people, that creates yung occasions of panic or anxiety where they don't feel safe. Okay? So, isa pa yun sa mga kino-consider natin. And most especially if we are at home with family members who are exposed, they work, they go out, they commute. Okay, so it adds to that fear, which, by the way, at this point, that kind of fear is a bit real. Hindi yun kaartihan, hindi yun ka. So if ever if ikaw yung not designated na alay ng pamilya, if you are going out and buying supplies sa market, halos kulang na lang buhusan ka ng alcohol pagbalik. Because really, the fear and the risk, okay, is there. Okay? Now, each one of us definitely has a different form of coping. Merong mga mas successful, merong hindi. At the same time, we're also dealing with varying levels of stress based on resources that we have at home. So, iba-iba ang response, iba-iba ang reaction. But definitely common to all of them is that most of our coping behavior or coping strategies before are definitely strained. Okay? Kung dati kaya mo ang mag-aral, although wala namang pinagkaiba ang academic load mo ngayon sa before, but napapansin mo mas mahirap. For the simple reason that may additional pressure, may additional stressor that was not there before. At the same time, your access to resources that will help you cope before, like friends or having a different environment, diba? Right now, at the most, limited ang ability mo to have a change of scenery, so a change of environment. So that also affects. So much of what we are experiencing and observing right now in terms of difficulties, they tend to have all of this in common that they are a result of anxiety, they are a result of sadness kasi parang you feel helpless. Okay? So most of the time when you encounter these conditions, particularly na observe mo to happening within this year, when ma-attribute natin to because of the pandemic, then more likely they are a result of the conditions that we are in. So, and this has been observed in most of our counseling clients na karamihan, walang motivation, karamihan, oversleeping, karamihan, procrastinating. Okay? Although most teachers would say na ganun na rin naman yung mga estudyante ko even before the pandemic, wala naman sir nagbago. But definitely, you teachers would admit na mas marami sila now than before. Okay, yun yung isa. Most vulnerable would definitely be students or even faculty members who are dealing with some form of mental issues or concerns prior to this, mas aggravated. Before, they would have additional coping resources that you could get from socialization, from people, or yung change of scenery dahil dati sa bahay, malungkot, pupunta ka lang ng school, medyo ibang environment na, may naririnig kang tawanan, may naririnig kang ibang iba. That change of scenery is really a factor. So much of what we are observing really could be considered as normal responses to an abnormal situation. So, hindi natin sinasabi talagang part of what we are emphasizing here as a mental health practitioner is that what we observe happening to us, to our friends, to our family members, these are normal responses to abnormal situations. Kasi kahit sabihin natin new normal ito, it's not really normal. It's not normal to see the faces of people and not to see their smile dahil lagi tayong naka-face mask. So, that would be. Diba, kung napapansin mo yung sarili mo na parang when was the last time ka nakakita ng tao nakangiti kasi lagi nakamask. Medyo concerning na yon. Na our other means of communicating emotions and interacting is really affected. Now, what can we do about this? Kasi ito naman yung sitwasyon eh. We hear clamors for many changes and many improvements and many interventions. Totoo lahat yon. Part of what I believe should happen is definitely a better response. We're not saying walang response o walang intervention, pero ito rin naman ang reality. No one's really prepared for this, but we are all doing our best, and that would say that would hold true for everyone, mga student, parent, or even schools, or even government. We are all doing our best, but we know more is there's more to be done. So part of what really help us deal with yung emotion, with the crisis, and with all of the symptoms that we are experiencing is really adopt yung mode na yun. How do you deal with crisis? Kasi crisis naman talaga ito eh. Part really of what helps us is to change that perspective now that we are totally helpless. Isa yun sa mga kailangan nating baguhin. We're not helpless. There are things that we can do. Of course, hindi natin masosolve yung matatanggal yung virus. But definitely, there are ways that we could minimize our risk. And definitely, even if you say na mahirap matuto, mahirap magtrabaho in this kind of situation, there are ways by which we could help ourselves more or less do and be functional. Because I really believe that to give up now is not an option, or to even wait before things get better, is not also a good option. So, sa mental health practitioners, we are not invalidating the complaints. Okay? Hindi yun. But what we're simply saying is that let's focus our energy on things that we can control. To simply see things as totally to wait for other people to act or to move or to change is to put ourselves as part ng problem. Okay? We make ourselves their prisoner na kung hindi sila kilos at hindi sila magbabago, hindi tayo magbabago. And that's not something that we wish. Okay? Part of what we try to help people in terms of dealing with this is that una i-address natin the fact that we are in a situation na blurred yung home and work environment. There is a need for us to to provide or have some form of demarcation. Kasi doon nagsisimula yung confusion eh. Ano ba ako ngayon sa bahay? Estudyante ba ako? Teacher ba ako? Anak ba ako? Or tagalinis ba ako? So, part really when we are saying na, and this is true for all, no? Na try to implement some form of sanity. And that's the reason why na aside from creating yung dedicated workplace or study place, okay, try to dress up also for that. I'm not saying na mag full uniform ka, but definitely iba yung pantulog mo sa pang-aral mo. Kasi if you are, kung baga na woke up like this and aral like this kaagad, parang you are not helping your mind, your mindset, okay, demarcate na ako ay nag-aaral ngayon. Kasi walang pinagkaiba eh. That's why kung po maaari talaga na you don't sleep and study in the same place because it confuses your brain and your body. Kasi walang pinagkaiba eh. Kaya nga, uh, kahit anong sulok na pwede mo ma-convert would be very helpful for you. Okay? Third, the routine that we had prior to the pandemic, of course, hindi natin maibabalik. But definitely, a new routine, okay, that includes and that incorporates a lot of yung self-help, self-love, self-care okay, natin, pala self-care natin, primarily like prior to going to class, mag-breakfast ka, maligo ka, okay? It's important if you brush your teeth prior the things that you will do when you normally before going to school gawin mo because that helps your body and your mind be conditioned to the fact na iba itong gagawin ko ngayon kasi without that demarcation yun yung nagko-confuse eh. It's similar to not being able to differentiate yung gabi sa araw pag masyado kang nagpupuyat or you're in a very dark room na hindi mo nakikita mag-change ang cycle. We are a creature like na meron ding sinusundan na body rhythm. So when that rhythm is disrupted, definitely it will result in a change in our feeling and motivation. Okay? And part of that routine really, when you say yung setting yung boundaries, okay, you allot yung time mo for study. Hindi pwedeng sagaran. I think this is something that we need to reflect on. No? Na-equate natin lagi na ang excellence ay kailangan uubusin mo yung oras, tasagarin mo ang lahat. I don't think that is excellence, nor does it result to any form of excellence. Sakit lang ng katawan. When you say, ang aral mo ay from this point to this point, ganun din pag sinabi natin mag-set ka ng boundaries ng relaxation or ng binge watching. Hindi mo uubusin lahat ng episodes. Di ba? Use it uh, within the time that you have allotted it. Sabihin yung demarcation and boundaries will be important that you impose upon yourself. Nasanay kasi tayo, kaya pinag-uusapan ng boundaries. Kasi before, nung pumapasok ka, ang nagseset ng boundaries sa'yo ay yung teacher, yung school calendar, yung bell ng school. So nasasanay ka, yun yung nagka-cut ng activities mo. But right now, since you are at home, wala kang, walang, ano, you are in fact experiencing yung condition na ikaw yung nagko-control ng totally ng behavior mo. And for most students, even for most teachers, that is something unfamiliar. Sanay tayo na meron nagtutulak sa atin. And that's something that disappeared with uh, with the pandemic. So, yung self-imposed boundaries, so it really helps yung sasabi lang mag-create ka ng calendar, ng schedule at it's in front of you or the timer of your phone or your calendar would be the one to set yung pace. This is not something that I'm making up. Okay, there are evidences that would really help na for especially for people that are cooped up in a certain place. Yung rhythm na yon, yung changes na yon ng hour or ng season or ng day is an important factor in for them to maintaining yung rhythm. Now, definitely when you are going through the day, and this is a common complaint din ng mga students. So, masyado akong distracted. Labas ng pop-up yung mga chat group. Of course, importante siya for communication. And we are dependent on our groups, diba? Chat groups for communication. Ang masasabi natin dito, uh, not all of the updates are important. Kumbaga, if you are going to always reply on every notification, wala ka talagang matatapos. Kasi marami yan eh. Bawat klase, meron ka. Yung iba pa yung socialization mo, iba pa yung mga kabarkada mo. So, make it a point likewise, kung kaya mong ma-mute ang notification, pati na si Shopee na notification at may mga 12-12 na ngayon, it would lessen yung stress sa attention span mo. Okay? When I also mentioned avoid multitasking, ito yung common kong kina-clarify with students. Our cognition and our brain capacities is not really designed for multitasking. Akala lang natin na kaya mong pagsabay-sabayin. When in fact, hindi talaga sila sabay-sabay. If you really observe yung sarili mo while you're may gadget, may computer, may book, or may sounds, what is actually happening is that you are shifting attention from one task to the other na mabilisan. So parang iniikot, nagra-round robin yung attention span mo. And that's nakaka-cause ng fatigue. And that's the reason why you feel so tired when wala ka naman na-accomplish. Okay? Though, the idea here is that if you could do and finish one task, small task, it would be more helpful on your part. Part also of what would help us deal with yung pandemic is really to be able to uh, develop some form of assertiveness. Kasi ang magtanong sa teacher or magtanong sa mga makakatulong sa atin at the time that when we don't understand, okay, is part of yung dilemma dun sa anxiety. Ano sasabihin nila pag hindi ko naintindihan? And most of the conflicts likewise tend to revolve around this to clarify. Kasi remember, our means of communication is definitely affected. So kung dati sa classroom, nakakalusot ka dahil susundan mo lang kung ano ginagawa ng iba, gagayahin mo lang. So kahit di ka nagpe-pay attention sa teacher, makita mo lang, kumukuha sila ng papel, baka miss. Nakakalusot ka. Pero right now, since you're on your own, you're processing that information on your own. Most of the time, you're clueless on what's happening. So ito yung pwede mo i-develop. Tanong ka. Okay? A teacher, hindi ko magagaranti that a teacher will always be kind or nice. Minsan bad trip din si teacher. Minsan nakukulitan. Di ba? Pag sinabi na niya, uulitin mo pa yung tanong. But really, okay, that is your lifeline din naman. So usually, take that risk. Ask the question. Part naman talaga yan ng pagkatuto. And the same way na when you are trying to manage your time during the day, integrate breaks. Ang ating exposure sa screen, napapansin natin, and this is true for most, even yung mga nag-work from home. In fact, it's very good that as HR students, you are aware of this scenario because definitely working from home is something that we may encounter in the future na hindi na to impossible kasi nagawa na eh. Hence, as a HR practitioner, ano ang pwedeng policies that you could develop? But part of really of this is that we cannot expect people to be glued to their screens the whole time. May factor yun. Hindi talaga possible na you expect them to be healthy seated the whole time. Di ba? Ang pinaka-risk niya sa health na yun is not smoking but sitting down. So yung taking a break later, siguro after 10 minutes tumayo ka, take a stretch, make a, yung importante yan. Kasi mapapansin mo, pag masyado kang tutok, your body is actually feeling yung strain. And that is something that you need to incorporate in the schedule. Stretching and taking breathers. Eye break, kumbaga. Okay. Now, part of dealing with yung idea of multitasking, nasabi ko earlier that baka kailangan mong matuto mag-focus. And for the generation ng mga Gen Z and millennials, this is something na mahabang debate. But most of them would experience this later when they do struggle with yung inability to concentrate. Oo, palagay natin mga madadaling task kaya mong pagsabayin. But when you're dealing with a requirement that requires full attention, you find yourself struggling. And lalo na ngayon. Okay? So, part of yung concept ng mindfulness is really just allowing yourself to experience yung moment and to experience what you're doing and what you're sensing at that moment. So, kung ngayon, nauupo ka dyan, make sure na nandun ka. I'm sure it's not easy. It's easy as it's not as easy as it sounds because most of the time pag may ginagawa tayo ang isip natin somewhere else hindi isip mo yung susunod, diba? So that is more lalo na ngayon na nakatutok lang tayo sa screen and we can hide behind the fact na pwede kang nagme-message sa kaibigan mo while nandito playing sa background yung talk na ito. We do that. All of us are guilty. Diba? So right now, malamang may ka-chat ka habang nagto-talk ako. So point yun. But the point there is that if you want to really practice increasing yung skill ng pag-enjoy ng moment, every activity, any task na pwede mong ginagawa would be a good time to learn mindfulness. Simply, okay? When you do this, sabayan mo siya ng breathing. Okay? Ang idea lang naman ng mindfulness is lessening yung number of inputs na pinipay attention mo at any given time. Kasi right now, nakaka-encounter ka ng napakaraming sensory input, sight, sound, even yung texture, and yung mga ganun. But most of the time, binablock off natin silang lahat or we are overloaded. So sa idea ng mindfulness, okay, we are pulling back ourselves dun sa pag-focus through our breathing. Kaya importante mong lagi mo na i-encounter yung relaxation technique na we are saying mag-breathing ka. Because it is really help and there are evidence that really says that it works. Okay? Another implementation ng mindfulness is when you do this, especially pag maghapon ka nakaupo. Okay? Ito yung mga exercise. It does not have to be very complicated. It does not have to be very difficult. The simple task that you move would be helpful. This one, for those really having a difficult time uh, working back and feeling talaga wala kang magawa sa iba. Okay? Ito yung pinapayo ko. Okay? Bitawan mo yung libro, bitawan mo yung pag-aaral, lumayo ka sa screen mo. Do a house chore. Okay? When doing the house chore, choose one task lang na simple lang that will help you breathe and do yung repeated task and will help you calm yourself. Kailangan huminga. Kaya nga breathe in, breathe out yan sa mga nakakapansin. Uh, this would also be useful pag may hinawa ka. Remember, simplify the task. Hindi dapat siya may multitask din. Okay. So nakakatulong na ito sa pagre-relax mo, pagkakalma ng sarili mo, pag-lessen ng panic, nakakatulong ka pa sa bahay kasi nalilinis mo yung bahay. I would really suggest yung mga talagang sulok-sulok, singit-singit is something that would help you deal with tension, emotions, anything. this is may evidence na sa mga ganitong bagay. Now, for sleep, part of the reason we are having difficulty sleeping is that yung disrupted body clock. Most of the time kasi dala ng signal sa paghahabol sa internet connection, eh, mas prefer mo mag-work pa late in the night. And that's true. But that could also definitely affect your body. There are research supporting this na hindi siya long-term na makakabuti sa katawan mo. At the same time, you're also your mood and your affect. No? So definitely, if you are experiencing problem sleeping, you can gradually adjust your schedule. I'm aware na kung kinakailangan na hinahabol mo yung signal, then mas unahin mong matulog muna. Gumising ka ng madaling araw. That would be useful. Kesa pupuyatin mo yung sarili mo and then pagod ka pagdating ng kinabukasan. Kasi ang mangyayari doon sa puyat ka na, wala ka nang na tawag ito, wala ka nang natandaan. Dahil definitely, sleep deprivation would affect memory. Matagal nang na-establish ng research yun. Sleep deprivation affects memory, it affects mood. So parang vicious cycle siya. So habang nagpupuyat ka, lalong sumasama pakiramdam mo. Habang sumasama pakiramdam mo, lalong umihirap mag-aral at mag-concentrate. So usually, when we talk of self-care, konti lang yan, tatlong bagay lang yan. Matulog ka, kumain ka na maayos, hydrate, exercise. And these are the things that would help you handle yung stress that you're dealing with. Again, most of what we can do, okay, would be anchored on our ability to take care of ourselves. And for us to do that, we have to acknowledge, okay, that we are stressed. Hindi mo pwedeng i-deny na okay lang. Okay? Hindi pwedeng pababayaan mo na lang yung sarili mo na mahirapan. Okay? Importante yun. Importante kasi sarili natin na we can only give what we have. Okay? So, kung sasasabi mo you're doing this for your family, you're doing this for your loved ones, then definitely it's important that we take care of ourselves. There would definitely be things that we cannot handle, are beyond our control. Nandun yung acceptance. Okay? Of course, hindi natin sinasabi na wala kang gawin. Yun na nga yun eh. When the things that you can do them. So, isa dito would be yung self-care. Diba? When you're able to take care of yourselves, know that the small things that you're doing now would have a longer effect and consequence. Hindi rin dapat na tiisin mo lang. Okay? And that's the why I'm emphasizing, and most mental health professionals are saying, hindi mo dapat solohin, hindi mo dapat i-lessen. Kasi part of what you would be able to do in terms of helping others is to help yourself. Seek help. Hindi nangangahulugan na kailangan hirap ka na bago ka humingi ng tulong. Okay? So, yung self-care, seeking professional help would be the things that would help us deal with yung pandemic and yung learning. I know na hindi talaga matagal pa tong laban na to. That's why we need to help each other on this. But the first person that we need to help would be ourselves. Ha? Huwag mong antayin na magbago muna yung pamilya mo o yung mga teachers mo o yung school o yung government bago mo iangat ang sarili mo. Kailangan natin itong gawin ngayon din. So I hope and I'm be very excited to answer if you have questions later on sa ating Q&A. But definitely, hindi dito nagtatapos yung self-care. So, kailangan ipagpatuloy natin. So, magandang hapon sa inyong lahat and maraming salamat po. Thank you very much.
Yan. Thank you so much, Sir Paul. Maraming salamat po. And yes, guys. So, partner, ano ba yung takeaways mo dito sa mga sinabi ni Sir Paul sa atin?
Ako na ano ko sa kay sir sa doc niya yung stop shifting one task to another and stop multitasking. Kasi 'di ba, yun yung isa sa mga reason kung bakit tayo agad napapagod and yun nga wala tayong ability to concentrate
Mhm.
para maging mindful tayo sa mga gagawin
Yes.
natin.
Yes. Ako naman partner pinaka nagrema sa akin dun sa lahat ng sinabi ni Sir Paul is that we cannot wait for others to make the change for us. Na syempre, oo nga naman 'di ba? Ngayon we are waiting. Parang majority of us ang ginagawa is really to wait dun sa kung
Yes.
ano pa yung pwedeng mangyari sa mga susunod na araw. Pero if we will analyze it, hindi natin pwedeng idepende sa iba yung change na gusto nating mangyari na para dun sa sarili natin. Na hindi
Yes.
natin pwedeng hintayin na meron pa silang sabihin na ganito, na ganyan para maingatan at alagaan natin yung sarili natin. And second thing, sobrang importanteng alamin mo yung kapasidad ng katawan mo, ng emosyon mo, kasi lahat magsisimula sa kung anong meron ka.
Tama.
Yun. So, are you guys still hype up from our wonderful talk for our speaker? Or are you guys still okay dun sa mga bagay na narinig at nalaman natin ngayon? So if you are still up, you can give us your questions, your questions and clarifications. Please comment down below and isa-isa natin yung ililay sa ating speaker.
Tama. If you guys have something on your mind, you are all free to ask in our Q&A session. So, comment down below kung ano yung mga yung curious kayo, kung ano yung gusto nyong masagot ng ating speaker.
Yes. So, habang
Question.
naghihintay tayo ng mga question partner, merong isang tanong from our set of officers na talaga namang gusto ko ding malaman yung sagot. Sir, ito po yung tanong. What are the warning signs of emotional distress in online classes or for online students, sir? Ano po ba yung mga warning signs?
Actually, hindi mo na kailangan antayin na lumala. No? So parang
Mm.
kung right now nahihirapan kang gumawa ng homework, hirapan kang mag-connect or feeling mo wala kang gana, enough na
Mm.
yun para sabihin mo, uy, teka, puyat ba ako, pagod ba ako, or napapabayaan ko yung sarili ko. Usually, is one of the other lang yan. Yun yung mga symptoms. If you're not really able to do what you were able to do before, then senyales na yun. Hindi mo kailangan umantay na ikaw yung lugmok na. Di
Tama.
ba? Yun ang pinapayo na minsan napapabayaan natin to the point na kung kailan talagang sagad ka na, doon ka palang hihingi ng tulong. Sa panahon ngayon,
Opo.
we need to be more vigilant sa sarili natin. Di ba, pansin ko rin sa sarili ko, like, pag masakit na yung katawan mo, sinasabi na ng katawan mo yun na, uy, tumayo ka na dyan. 1 hour ka na nakaupo. Or yung mata mo, sasabihin ng mata mo na mahapdi na siya. So technically, dapat pumuklat ka na, magpahinga ka na. So those are your body, unang sagot, your body is telling you already. Yung katawan mo ang nagsasabi. Hindi mo yan maloloko eh. Kasi sasabihin niya, inaantok ka, gutom ka, sasabihin niya may masakit. Pakinggan mo siya. Okay? Kasi
Tama.
pag beyond that, ibang tao na yung makakapansin. Like, masungit ka na sa kanila. Right? Kumbaga next level na yon. Pag yung ibang tao na nakakapansin, ibig sabihin nun, like, naaamoy na nila, parang 1 linggo ka na hindi naligo. So, pag inantay mo pa silang mangyari nun, then definitely, mas maraming affected. Kumbaga, yung first signal, kumbaga, signal number 1, yung
Mm.
katawan mo. Pakinggan mo siya. Susunod doon, ibang tao na magsasabi sa'yo. Ang ikatlo doon would be yung performance na definite. So, doon pa lang sa una, warning sign na siya. Gutom ka, pagod ka, may masakit, uhaw ka, di ba? Any of those things. Tingnan mo na kagad. Yun yung unang warning signs that mag-self-care. Kaya nga, after 10 minutes dito, dapat mag-stretching tayo kasi namumuo na yun. Habang bata ka, mataas ang tolerance mo. Pero sa mga pagtagal, nararamdaman mo yan. Ba't masakit ang batok mo? Sakit dito ang leeg, dito, this part. Especially kung ang inuupuan mo ay hindi talaga design, hindi siya ergonomics. Ang screen mo ay mababa. So, warning
Opo.
sign na siya. So, yun. I hope na right na maging aware ka tayo lahat doon. That's for us, for all of us.
Mm.
Okay.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
sir.
sir. May
So,
other question din po na about sa ano po. Then the sudden switch to online classes makes me feel uncertain about my future. What are the things I should consider to avoid this feeling of uncertainty and anxiety at the same time?
that's konting lecture ng anxiety. Ano?
Yes po.
Anxiety kasi is related sa fear. Ang fear
Yes.
is always, ang fear is part ng emotion natin that interprets yung environment as something na threat ba siya o hindi. Kaya kapag may tunay na threat, dapat lang matakot ka. Yun yun, di ba? Kasi parang parang it drives you to action. Anxiety, on the other hand, okay, hindi siya, is a form of fear, parang part siya ng nuance ng fear. Pero anxiety can happen, will be reacting dun sa non-existent or yung existent. Kasi kung may tunay na threat siya, yung
Opo.
anxiety mo, tama lang. Okay?
Mm.
So, diba, tama lang. Ibig sabihin, may basihan, may realidad. Pero kung wala naman, walang basihan, hindi siya halimbawa, natatakot kang biglang may babagsak na eroplano sa bahay niyo. Kung malayo ka naman sa airport at wala naman lalipad na eroplano, then that anxiety is not real. Okay? Kung natatakot ka ngayon, particularly in your course or your industry,
Opo.
like especially if you have yung mga students natin halimbawa ng HRM, yung mga hotel, or even yung mga careers na affected definitely by the pandemic. For them, that is a real form of anxiety kasi nakikita mo nawawala yung trabaho na pinaghahandaan mo. So that is a real anxiety. So what am I saying? Kung for as long as tunay yung dahilan ng threat, ng anxiety, then it's but natural for you to be anxious, and it should lead you to take a course of action. Magplano ka, mag-evaluate ka, kailangan ba ako mag-shift, kailangan ba akong gumawa ng ibang bagay. That makes it productive. Pero kung ang source of anxiety mo naman ay hindi nga totoo, o walang masyadong then yun yung kinakailangan natin daan ka for professional help. Let's talk about that.
Mm.
Now,
Thank you,
if
sir.
it's related to COVID or pandemic, then ito yung sinasabi natin nasa real yung threat. Hindi ito yung pwedeng ibaliwala mo na threat. Kahit sa paligid mo, kung halimbawa, wala ka namang masyadong kaano, but
Yes.
it's possible because there are cases of asymptomatic.
Mm.
So, hindi mo masabi kung yung kasama mo o yung makakahalubilo mo, maaaring siya, wala, pero yung naka-encounter niya, since hindi natin nakikita yung kalaban, then that kind of anxiety is really nagbo-border sa realistic.
Mm.
Kaya nga, hindi mo pwedeng sisihin na OA naman to, 10 beses ka na nag-alcohol. Because that is a response that we create na naninigurado tayo that we are safe, that we
Yes.
remain safe. Diba?
May
So,
basis.
oo, may basis. So, dun sa nagtanong, kung ang nagiging basihan ng iyong anxiety is medyo feeling mo naman hindi tunay siya, mukhang real, then definitely uh, use that as an opportunity to explore options. Para hindi ka feeling helpless eh. Mag-explore ka, mag-research ka. Ano pa pwede kong gawin pa? Rather than just being anxious. Rather than just worrying. Kasi worrying na walang action, yun talaga nakakapagod. Good for that question.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, thank you so much as I read yung mga comments po sa live natin. Sobrang
Thankful sila.
appreciated ng students lahat po ng sinabi ninyo. Maraming salamat po. And sobrang laking tulong po nun. Lalo na dun sa last part po nung lesson ninyo, which is sinabi ninyo na seek professional help. Kasi
Yes.
po parang ang alam po ng marami, kailangan meron ka munang mangyaring hindi talagang maganda sa'yo before kang mag-seek ng professional help, gano'n. Thank you for clarification, sir, na every one of us can seek professional help, especially sa
Mm.
mental state po namin. Sir, maraming salamat po talaga.
Actually, yung parang yan eh, parang dentist. Hindi ka pupunta sa dentista kung kailangan matatanggal na yung ngipin mo, di ba? You go to the dentist in the same way na napapalinis ka. So parang ganun din ang seeking counseling or psychological first aid. So right now, most of us uh, would be helped, okay, asking for those type of services.
Opo, opo.
Opo,
Maraming
tama.
salamat,
Thank
sir.
you.
Okay, partner?
Okay. Now that there's no other questions, let's proceed to our awarding of certificate to our speaker.
Okay, to okay. We would like to extend our deepest gratitude to our speaker, Dr. Paulito V. Hilario, who generously accepted our invitation and shared this precious time to be our resource speaker for today. Again, from the Human Resource Student Association of the Philippines, Certificate of Appreciation is hereby awarded to Paulito V. Hilario, PhD, for giving enlightening talk in the webinar enlisted for HR Outlook Adapting Overcoming Challenges of Online Learning.
Thank you very much.
Miss Anne? Nakamute, Miss Anne.
Ay, sorry. Game. Now, for the closing remarks, I would like to call on the officers of the Human Resource National Student for our closing remarks. So guys, nasa na kayo? I'll introduce you one by one. Ayan. So now we have Ms. Selsime Evcas, the President of the Human Resource Student Association of the Philippines, Ms. Kimberly Bogorio, Director of Public Affairs, Mr. Roman Alonso, the VP External of Human Resource Student Association of the Philippines, Miss Kyla for the membership officer of the Human Resource Student Association of the Philippines. So, hi guys! Ayan, so pakilala naman kayo. Isang mabilis na hi sa kanilang lahat. Ayan, so ito ang mga tao sa likod ng webinar na ito. Also, we want to acknowledge our Sir Joseph Masangkay Lerdizabal. So, hi sir, thank you so much. And that will be all. So, final na kayo guys. Hi guys! Ayan, sabay-sabay naman kayo mag-hi. Ayan. So, partner?
So now we can proceed for Miss Celsi May Evcas for the closing remarks.
Go, Miss Elsie.
So yun, nawala ang ating Miss President. So yeah, before we end our program, I would like to personally thank you all for attending and joining on our very first online event.
Yes, partner. Thank you very much, guys. And of course, this event will not be possible if it weren't for you. We hope that we will finally be able to meet you in person as soon as possible. And before everything else, we want to invite everyone to be part of the HRSF family. So our membership is still on. You can check our Facebook page for information, for inquiries, and for clarification. So thank you very much, guys. It will be a huge help for us, especially this time of pandemic. We will offer seminars or webinars for you, and it will help us grow as a student and as future HR professionals.
Yes. So guys, thank you so much for your participation in this webinar entitled HR Outlook: Adapting and Overcoming the Challenges of Online Learning. Don't forget to like and share the official page of HRSAP
Yes.
National Facebook page. Also, show us some love in Twitter by following at HRSAP National.
Yes, guys. So once again, my name is Dominic Cedilla Canales, Secretary of Human Resource Student Association of the Philippines, from the Universidad de Manila, with my partner, Mr. John Eldrin N. Rojas, Vice President for Internal Affairs from Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Maynila. We wish you the best luck of your life as student, and we hope to see each other again on our next event. Don't forget to stay safe and always wear your mask. Thank you very much. God bless you all. Ingat.
Thank you guys. Thank you so
Maraming
much.
salamat.